Welcome to Here Where You Belong, your go-to podcast for exploring belonging with your host and belonging expert, Dea Irby. We are thrilled to have you join us. Together, we'll dive into the depths of what it means for each of us to find our own place in the world, whether it's within our communities, our relationships, or within ourselves. Today's episode is meant to inspire, uplift, and remind you that no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. So, grab a cozy spot and settle in. Welcome to Here Where You Belong.
Hello, awesome belongers. Welcome home to Here Where You Belong podcast. Today, I'm proud to introduce someone whose message speaks so clearly that we knew that they're meant to be part of our community. So we invited them to share their stories. I'm Dea, your host. Our guest today is definitely a creative. Get ready to be inspired and blessed. Let's welcome Anoo Tree Brod. Hey, Anoo. Anoo. Oh, now here's a bit more about our guest. Anoo, if I'm saying that right and she can correct me, is an award-winning improviser and speaker. She has taught and performed throughout the United States. She loves helping people find joy, self-expression, and a connection to who they really are. Anoo created and is the director at Wild Mind Improv, in which she helps individuals and corporations spark joy and confidence. She has even at a time been an adjunct professor at the University of North Carolina, helping those numbers people in accounting learn how to communicate. It is such a pleasure to have you here today, Anoo. Welcome.
Hey, Dea, your enthusiasm is contagious.
Well, I hope so. And anything you need to add to, subtract, elaborate on, or correct pronunciation of what I said.
No, just that I taught improv to accounting students, just in case that wasn't clear, which is always
Okay.
a trip for people. Yeah.
Yes. So here's the thing. Anyone can belong in an improv class. Now,
You think that
yes.
is really true.
What? It is.
I think that's true, yeah.
This is a podcast about belonging. And so I asked my guests to tell their belonging story, and your answer piqued me just a bit about what you said, if you remember or would like to share. But the mic is yours. Tell us, even down to your name, your story of belonging, and just your story.
Yeah, so I think when you asked in the Google form, I just said I don't belong. So that's kind of my I kind of came into the world with a lot of differences, and maybe most people feel that way, but you're right, it's actually connected. We hadn't talked about this before, but it is kind of connected to my name. I grew up a little Armenian child, and my name was Anushka, and so I was called Nushi or Nush. There weren't a lot of Anushkas where I grew up. In fact, no, there was zero Anushkas. There were a lot of Jennifers and Debbies and Marys, and so right away I looked different. I looked very ethnic when I was younger.
Where was this?
This was in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my mom's from Lebanon. So that's also different and didn't really belong in my family. And so, I think whatever your earlier experiences are, you kind of carry those with you. And as much as I've worked on myself, I still think that there's like a core part of me that just like, I just don't belong. I just don't belong. And it's okay to just acknowledge that. It doesn't mean I don't love people. It doesn't mean some people don't love me or do love me or whatever. It's just, yeah, it's just a feeling I've had always.
Well, that is really important. And belongers out there, if you don't feel like you belong, we talk on this and have had a number of guests talk about the very first belonging is belonging to yourself. You
Yes.
have to belong to yourself. And
Yes.
in looking at your world, you've recognized that you feel like you don't belong, but even in that, you're saying, I'm belonging to how I feel and who I see myself as.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. Like instead of, I think I spent a lot of my life pretending, and not in the like fun improv acting way, but just like, oh, everything's fine, or I belong, or whatever. And it's a really nice feeling to come to like a place of like, I don't belong. Of course, there are places where I do feel like I belong. It's not black and white by any means, but I would say a core wound of mine would be a feeling of like, I just don't belong.
Well, so when did you, or how did you decide? Tell us the story behind your name.
The
When,
name, okay.
how, what prompted it?
The change of the name.
Yes.
Are you ready to get weird?
Yes.
You like weird.
Okay. It's your story. I'm not judging it. It's what you have experienced.
Well, let me actually tie it in a little bit with the idea of belonging, because I think because I didn't belong in my family, there was abuse, it was very traumatic, and then had a hard time forming relationships out in the world when you grow up in that sort of situation. What happened was when I was in college and I had finally moved out of the house, the place I found belonging was I discovered spirituality. So I didn't grow up I grew up Jewish, Jewish and Armenian, but there was no spirituality in the Judaism. So I discovered, like I see your little book behind you, I discovered angels and spirit guides and God, and my little Jewish girl discovered Jesus. And so I felt like that was my first experience of belonging, is like really getting to know my spirit team. So that became a very important thread in my life starting at about age 19. And it became, I would say, probably the most important part of my life. And so I developed like a very deep relationship with my angels, my spirit guides. I learned how to talk to them, how to hear what they were saying. And one day, so now we're getting to the name, after doing this for a number of years, and I do readings for myself and for other people, kind of developed that skill pretty strong. I decided, so this was probably, I think this was like 15 years ago now, 12 years ago. Anyway, it's a while ago. It was like I was maybe mid 30s. I decided to go away for my birthday and do a little like bit of visioning about my life. So I went up to the mountains, and on the way back I stopped off in Black Mountain, North Carolina, which is a really cool place for those people who know it. And I was by myself, and I sat by a stream, and I had my feet in the water, and I was literally like, no drugs. People are always like, were there drugs? No, 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 no. This is all natural. Just minding my business, not even like trying to connect with my spirit guides, literally trying to just live my freaking life. When all of a sudden I get hit, you need to change your name. And I was like, okay. Now, this is the second time I've heard that. The first time I like pushed it down immediately. I was in my bathtub, and it was probably like 10 years prior. And then I was told by the spirit guides, you have outgrown the vibration of your name, which was Anushka. And again, coming from a background of a lot of abuse and trauma, I could see that I had maybe outgrown that energy. It's time for you to take a nature name, and it has to be something that grows up from the ground. I was given like these very clear instructions. And I was like, okay. So I started trying on all these names that sounded good to me, like pretty flowers, even Luna, because I thought, well, it's nature, even though it doesn't grow from the ground. Like, that sounds cool. And it was just like kind of thud, thud, thud. And then I just said tree. Dea, when I tell you, I never would have chosen the name Tree. I swear to God, my whole body just went. It was like I couldn't deny that that was to be my name. So I was like, well, I'm not coming home and telling anyone my name is Tree. That is like, that's too much. That is too much. So I told like a few of my best friends who know the weird me, and they started calling me Tree. And to this day, they still call me Tree, but I kind of made it my middle name. And instead of going by Anushka, which I had outgrown, I was working at a coffee shop, and they had just started calling me Anu as a nickname. So I was like, I'm just going to go by Anu and Tree. And that was kind of how it all happened. And I haven't officially changed my name, but that's the story.
And Brod, is that how you pronounce the last name? Brod,
Birthday.
that is your surname, always has been.
Yeah. Yeah, that stayed.
Interesting. Yeah, I I wonder if there's water, because bathtub, if you were in your bathtub with water and riverside with water, if there was some connection there too. Your feet were
Never
in the,
thought about that. That is really good. That's
yeah,
really good. Something about the water does heighten the intuition, I think, or the
maybe,
communication.
yeah. If you want to study, put your feet in the water, maybe. Or well, that is so you now have a new name that you feel like you belong to.
Kind of. It's not a perfect fit, and I struggle with my name, but I'm like, I can't change it again.
But you just changed it publicly, but not on documents or anything, right?
Yeah. And actually, interestingly, I feel some resonance now with Anushka again, almost like I had to step away from it for not, and people don't call me Anushka. I've already confused people about what my name is, but it's just interesting that as time has gone on, I feel a little bit more comfortable. When people would call me Anushka after I changed my name, it felt like I was wearing like a jacket on a really hot day. It was just like, no, don't. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Well, one of the ways that I believe you help people feel like they belong in the world or in your community is to use their name. Like I make it a point if I'm out
I
at a
like that.
restaurant, I make sure I know what the waiter's name is, the server's name is, anybody that we're going to contact, so I can use their name. Names are very significant, and you've just told us a very significant story behind the name that you're using today. And it is, and when I say Anu, then I am recognizing your unique existence.
Hmm.
That's what people want to know, that they're seen and that they're heard.
Yes. Preach
And
it, Dia. Preach it.
yes, so use people's names. You're stopping at the gas station and picking up a soda. Look at the name tag. You Here's the thing. You may be the only person that recognizes, that sees them, that acknowledges that they're in existence.
I love that. So how do you do like at the end, do you say like, oh, thank you, Derek, or whatever? How do you incorporate it?
I just say, hey, Derek, thanks. Or, hey, Derek, you're doing a good job. I
Mm.
even stop and maybe somebody, I stop at the gas station a lot and go get me a soda fountain. I mean, a fountain drink, my Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
And sometimes there'll be somebody working there cleaning the restrooms or cleaning the fountain machine. And I'll just look at them and say, hey, thanks. You're doing a good job. Keep up the
Oh,
good
I love
work.
that. That's so nice. That really ripples out to it's a really powerful thing to do.
Well, too many times people go through their day,
Yeah,
nobody acknowledges their existence.
I totally agree. And then people feel, like you said, invisible. They feel like they're not seen. They're not
Right,
important. Who cares if they're here?
right. And especially with when the isolation during the pandemic happened and people did not have anyone checking on them.
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, we all belong to the human race.
we do.
And we
We
can recognize each other as humans,
yeah.
not collect. Birds of a feather do flock together. People
Mhm.
that enjoy improv are going to be attracted to you. Uh, Maybe even some accountants, but I mean, it can happen, but we all need to be seen and heard.
I so agree. I mean, I think it's so funny that you're just spontaneously bringing that up because that is like such a deep intention when I'm leading, a group of people in an organization or a corporation or a workshop or a class. Like, I want each person to walk out feeling, I mean, I say like a prayer, like I ask that each person walk out of class or, the event feeling more connected to who they truly are and at a higher vibration than when they walked in. And a lot of that has to do with creating a space where you're really seeing the little things that people are doing. And so many adults come in, I'm kind of going off a little bit, but they come in with a lot of trauma around self-expression and play. And, we're taught to shut all of that down. So there's like a trauma, a wound there that needs to be healed with like extra amounts of applause and encouragement for our little busting out of our comfort zone.
Yes, the inhibitions that I mean, when you're a child, you're gonna run in the living room in your family's gathering totally butt naked because you took your diaper off, and
Yeah.
that's gonna be inhibited. Now, I don't recommend people run around naked, but my point is that el natural feeling where we don't have any inhibitions,
Yeah.
we start, well, we need to learn some common manners and cultural behaviors, but not of hiding who we are. Not, I
Yeah.
mean, it goes back to belonging to who you are first
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Agree.
accepting who you are, and not being afraid to let that show up. And when you are doing your class, you are providing a safe environment, because we go through life, and who is providing safe environments for people to authentically be who they are? You don't have
Yeah.
to worry about judgment or somebody going to say something about you on all the social medias if you're just truthful
Right?
or real.
Agreed.
So it's really awesome. You are providing a safe environment for people to find out who they are and learn to belong to who they are. That's really
Mm.
good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that popped into my head. Oh, it just went out of my head though. What did you just say? Oh
Feeling
God.
safe to be vulnerable,
Oh, I
being
had something.
able to let who you really are show up and
Hmm.
not be afraid. Um,
Gosh, it flew out of my
I
brain, but
know it was amazing.
it was amazing. It
It'll
felt
come
important.
back.
Yeah.
It'll come back because it was so amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so again, that goes back to we need to belong to ourselves first. And when we do,
I
it's
remember. I
hey,
remember.
okay, go.
Oh God, why is it like there's something wrong with my brain? Just a second. There is something wrong with my brain. But anyway, I think that there's something about, okay, it's coming back. There's something about, well, of course, I'm a little biased because I'm an improv girl, but there's something about play that creates like a very unique vibration, for lack of a better term. So for example, and this is not to put down any other modalities. There's so many great modalities out in the world to help us heal. But like I might be in like a therapy group, which I've done many, but I still might stay in my head because it's scary to let myself out. Whereas with play, we don't have to be talking about our stuff. We don't have to be thinking about our stuff. In fact, with improv, organically through the games and exercises, you're brought out of your head and into this kind of like pure essence of who you are. So we quickly connect to who we really are, which then in turn creates these very powerful connections with the other people we're playing with. And we kind of joke, we might not know if this person's married, what they do for a living. We might not know the details of their life, but we feel so much more connected to these people who are in our improv class than people we might know for many, many years sometimes. Um, so there's something about the play that's very deep and very sneaky in a way that like overt therapeutic methods are not, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yes, because the barriers, there's no judgment. It's a safe space.
Hmm.
And you can just put it out there. I mean, yes, and there's no but it's yes, and
That's
anything
right.
you do
Got it.
in improv, it's yes, and you
Yeah.
bring it out. And it's an organic from the inside of your being and not just a mental
Yeah,
involvement.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's the true inner you connects and comes out and expresses itself in improv
Yeah. Because
with
I think like what you were saying, like, and I talk about this when I teach a lot, like kids are just all of us are children at some point, in our being, we are still children, and we know how to be fully expressed beings from that time period. Now, some of us got shut down very, very young, some of us a little bit later. But it's in there. And so the second we can start to like move our body in weird ways and make weird sounds, and we're all like laughing together, something just, again, energetically kind of sheds, that we've been holding.
It reignites your child.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Oh, well, this is so fun and so good to talk about, but we're going to take a break right here and be right back with Anoo Tree Brod. Amazing. Be right back. Hey there. Isn't my guest amazing? So glad you joined us today. In this world that often feels disconnected, building community and fostering belonging are essential. That's why I created this podcast, to bring inspiring people to you, to encourage you to create that sense of belonging and community, no matter where you are. If you're being blessed by my guest, and we have some more, like, subscribe, and share this podcast. You know who needs to hear this. Stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember, you belong. Now, back to our amazing guest. And we are back, belongers, with Anoo Tree Brod, a fabulous improv teacher. And as you know, on the second half of the podcast, I like to ask 3 questions of my guest. And that's what we're going to put her through today, too. The first question is, what do you consider your greatest accomplishment? Now, I know you've got plenty of accomplishments. Just pick one and expound on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a deep question. It could go lots of different directions, but I would say feeling like it's some of the stuff we talked about already, feeling like I am living a life of purpose and living the purpose that is specifically mine. Like I feel like we all have a purpose, which then in turn, I believe, ripples out to other people and they ripple out to like there's just a great big soulful positive flow when people step into what they're here to do. And I can totally hear the people listening going, but I don't know what I'm here to do. I don't know what. Come talk to me. I do readings. But it's really about just following your joy, honestly, if you want to break it down into the simplest terms. But I would say that in the wake of a very like challenging start to my life, and life is still very challenging for me because of those past issues, but I've been kind of relentless in following my intuition every step of the way and listening to the guidance of like, what am I supposed to do now? What am I supposed to do now? And then some of the time stepping into those things. Of course, I don't always. Sometimes I just procrastinate for years.
Well, in that human nature.
Yeah.
Why do today what you can put out off for tomorrow?
Curious. Yeah.
When did you kind of come to the point where you said, because you said you had kind of a rough start, you got to a point, or was there something, was it gradual, or did something happen that you said, wait a minute, I am here for a purpose. I'm going to find my purpose and I'm going to live my purpose.
That's a good question. It definitely wasn't a moment. I think if I'm honest, I believe we all come into the world for different reasons.
Oh,
And we all have purposes, but like I do believe as a soul, since I kind of came out as a spiritual junkie already on your show, that like this is a very purpose-driven lifetime for me. So I think in my DNA there was like something there from a young age. And I think also trauma can catapult you into I didn't ever live like a normal life, hence the not belonging. The trauma, I never got married, I never had kids, I never got a master's degree. So my life was really about trying to heal and trying to find that spiritual connection on in this lifetime. That was probably pretty wordy. So it started out with trauma, and it started out with extreme social anxiety and living in a prison of fear. And
Mhm.
in that prison of fear, I was desperate to break out. And so I was, got into therapy, was reading the self-development books, starting to learn what this intuition thing was. Like all of these things kind of contributed to me being planted on a very, I guess, what a lot of people would see as unconventional path from a young age. I mean, God knows I have like a little like next lifetime. I just want to like I want it to be normal. I want to have a big family like that I grow up it with, like lots of brothers and sisters. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to do it. I want to be like so normal. I want to do the normal thing, but that has not been this lifetime. Um yeah, so I don't know if any of that made sense. I was kind of just rambling.
Well, but here's the thing. All of that is who you are and what you bring to the table that makes you effective in working with people in improv.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a heightened sensitivity to people not feeling like they belong, to neurodivergence, which I feel I'm not neurodivergent, to kind of weird people only because I feel like I am that too. So I feel like those misfits, so to speak, are drawn to me. No, I'm not saying everyone in my workshops or classes are
Oh,
misfits.
yeah, no, everybody, if you're listening to this because she shared this with you, she's not talking about you.
Yeah, not you, but like I'm just saying I have a particular sensitivity to things because of what I've been through. And I think that does help when you're leading and holding space for a group of people.
Absolutely. And part of your purpose I see is that holding space and providing belonging for other people.
Yeah, isn't that ironic? It is true.
Yes.
It is true.
Uh, you're you may not feel like you belong, so you provide a space of belonging for other people that don't feel like they belong, and
Yeah.
that means you all belong.
Yeah. And it is funny. I do set that intention before class, that little prayer about walking out at a higher vibration than when we walked in, feeling more connected to who we are. And, I can't speak for everyone all the time, but generally speaking, I get feedback all the time. Like I had the worst day, or I've just been in a bad mood, or I've been feeling crappy. I just feel so good now by the end of class, and it's just like there's something alchemical that happens through the process of play and the not belonging coming into community and all that stuff. Where you do start to feel like, hey, I feel good about myself. I do feel like I belong. I feel like that was great and I connected with people and yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which just emphasizes my point that as if we are people, which everybody's a people, we have a need to belong
You do.
somewhere with someone,
Yeah.
starting with yourself.
It's so true.
It's true.
Animals are good for that too. If you have a lot of trauma and don't feel safe with people, like nature and animals, I think are the deal because they can
Well,
offer that, comfort, that unconditional safety.
right. Well, I have a friend that has a horse therapy place, especially for burned out executive women to
Right.
go and just, you don't ride it, you brush it, you just are with it, and a horse can feel your emotions
Oh
and
my God.
can have compassion for you.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Agree. I believe that wholeheartedly. I think that's awesome that they're doing that.
Right. Okay, next question. And we kind of have talked about this but we're going to revisit it. It'll be like you're in table topics, it'll be like a table topics question. What makes you feel like you belong?
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. You brought up table topics. I have found a strange belonging with a group of people, which tends to be hard for me, in Toastmasters. I feel like I belong there, which is just not something I say a lot. And I talk up Toastmasters all the time. People are like, okay, shut up about the Toastmasters.
Well, for those who don't know, want to give us a little, what are you talking about? Toastmasters. And why do you
Yeah.
feel like you belong there?
Okay, so Toastmasters, I might not have a perfect definition, but it's like a international organization. They have it all over the world, and there's individual clubs you can go to, and it's there to help you with your public speaking and also leadership skills. I think most people know it for public speaking, but it can help you become a better leader as well. And you just practice giving talks, doing table topics, like you just said, Dia, and getting feedback on those on your public speaking, but in a incredibly like at least our group, I'm a fan of our group, but everyone's a fan of their own group, like an incredibly fun, supportive, diverse environment.
It's it's a safe space.
It really feels that way.
Everything that you do, everything gets evaluated.
Yeah.
And even the people giving speeches to evaluate get evaluated about how their evaluation speech went. But yet, it is safe.
It feels safe.
You feel safe because the intent of the evaluation is to just help you be better.
Yeah. 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 And I think, you said, why do you feel like you belong in Toastmasters? I think for me, when I came into Toastmasters, I kind of made a commitment that I was just going to be myself, which is hard for me to do. And so I started speaking about things that were very edgy for me. And the act of getting up in front of a group of people and speaking things that I felt ashamed about, or I felt terrified they were going to judge me about. It's not like I went into my first meeting and shared my deepest secret. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it took a little time. And there's a profound healing when you go into a place as yourself and you share things. And what I really love about Toastmasters, I'm going to pivot for a second, come back to what I was saying, is you get up there and you speak and you can't be interrupted. I'm so used to being interrupted. Like it's so healing to just speak, be interrupted, not be interrupted, and then to have people after you are vulnerable, like come up to you with tears in their eyes or say, that was my experience too. Something where I felt so alone and felt like nobody could understand. I've had so many people look me in the eye and say, that's how I felt in that situation too. And like, boom, this lifetime of aloneness in a certain area, phew, lifted. Super powerful to be seen. Going back to your original thing that you brought up, you must have been psychically pulling this down. It's like, I feel so seen in Toastmasters and not seen in I think when I was younger, the only time I'd feel seen, it would be in like, I'm peering into you and judging you and it's creepy. This is like, I feel seen and celebrated for my quirkiness and weirdness and what I, as Anu, brings to the table, which is different than everybody else. And then all the other people bring something else to the table. And it's just like, each person is so special to me, in the Toastmasters world.
The diversity is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's all about that support and the safe space and belonging to who you are safely with other people.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. So we both highly recommend Toastmasters because
So
I'm
good.
also in Toastmasters, which is how I know you, which is why I brought it up.
And if somebody goes and they explore Toastmasters, I do want to say, just like everything in life and with belonging, you have to, you might be uncomfortable and that's not a reason to not go back, but you also do have to find the vibrational fit for you. So I went to another Toastmasters group when I first started and I didn't, it wasn't the fit, but the one I've been a part of now for 10 years, it was like, yes. So what I'm saying is somebody might go to a Toastmaster and be like, I didn't really like it. You might still like it if you find the right group.
Yes. Yes. I'm in two different clubs and they're both different.
I love it. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, and that's part of finding a place to belong. Because we
Yeah.
need that. We all need that. And when you're in a safe space, the fears and the secrets that we keep hidden are the fact that they're hidden is where the pain comes from when they're brought to the light and you find out, oh, three other people in my group have had the same experience. You're not the only, and we can share in that. It's bringing light to the pain that brings a lot of healing. Wow. Okay. My last question
Okay.
is, what's your favorite quote? And
Okay.
you can read it or I'll read it and ask.
You go ahead and read it because I forget it,
You
but I love
said it's a really interesting quote. Comedy can be a cathartic way to deal with personal trauma. A
it.
quote from Robin Williams. Tell us why you like that quote so much.
I that is a deep experience for me. And I just was like, oh my gosh, Robin Williams said that? Yeah. I mean, I think we've already touched on a lot of this. It's like comedy, public speaking, play, improv. It's like a way to take these very painful things and then like alchemicalize, I don't know if I just made up that word, them so that we can have like this ripple, once again, the ripple of like healing laughter. I swear to God, when I hear people laughing at something like some pain that I've been through in my life, not there's obviously a difference between someone laughing at you or just turning that pain into comedy, which I do in my speeches a fair amount at Toastmasters. It's like something dented in my soul, like pops out. It's like
What a visual. I love that.
how's the visual is coming to me. But yeah, it's so and if I go see a really good stand-up comedian, they have that alchemical, magical healer ability. We don't think of them as healers, but they are to take these really painful worldly situations or personal situations and get a huge crowd or a small crowd laughing about it. And in that moment that we're laughing together, first of all, we're all belonging together in that moment. And we're out of our heads. We're not ruminating on these things we've been thinking about so hard. We're out of our heads. We're in our hearts. We're connecting. And that's where the healing comes, right there.
I wish I could remember the number or the times, how many times a child laughs every day.
I've heard that.
Compared to how many times an adult laughs. We just don't laugh enough. We need to laugh more.
It's like one of the funnest ways to heal. I mean, you can cry, and I cried today. And that's very healing. You got to release that pain. You can scream, you can do all that stuff. That can be amazing. But it's fun that one of those things you can do is laugh, and it's just so easy.
Yes, you just have to find something that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yes. And sometimes it's so bad, the only thing you can do is laugh or cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still crying. I don't know.
Laugh cry. The old laugh cry.
Do all the feels and laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, Anoo, this has been an amazing conversation with you. And before we leave, do you have any final words or parting message for our people? How can they find you? What can you help them with? What?
Oh, that sort of message.
You can summarize what we said and then tell us how to have more of you.
I was gonna tune in and see if there's like a message.
Okay.
We're gonna see if there's like a message. But then I'll go with those. Yeah, okay. So what's coming to me right now is if you're listening to this and you're feeling like, but I don't know how to find my purpose, or I'm not a playful person, or I'm not like all the things. I do those things too when I listen to other people talking. That, you can, like, it's for everybody. Everybody can find, and sometimes we need help and coaches and, intuitives and, definitely contact me because I love that sort of thing. But you belong in this conversation too. Like if you're listening going, but I'm just not, I just want to say, I get you. I hear you. I see you. And all of this is for you as well. Like I've never met a person, for example, to come into an improv class that it wasn't for them as well, because it is about getting back to the core of who we are and who we each were at some point, which is just a free child that knows how to be in the moment and be present and find quirky, silly things and laugh. So, okay, that was the first thing I wanted to say. How can you find me? Let's see, I have a newish website, wildmindimprov.com. I teach retreats in various places. So I'll be in Bozeman, Montana this summer. I obviously teach a lot locally in the Carborough, Chapel Hill, North Carolina area. I will come to people to lead workshops. Yeah, and you'll see on that website that I also do the readings and the life purpose work and stuff like that if people are drawn to that.
Is it always in person? Do you offer anything online?
I did a lot online during COVID, and though my online people are asking me to get back to it, I haven't gotten back to it yet. One thing I do, like I have a acupuncture clinic in South Dakota that hires me once a month to do team building online with them. So I can do like I haven't created my own classes in a couple of years online, but if you want to hire me to come in and do stuff online, that's super easy. And I do a lot of that. That makes
Well,
sense.
let's find that inner child that laughs. And
Yes.
you can do that through improv. Wow.
Yeah.
To my amazing guest, Anoo, thank you. And to our listeners, belongers, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember you belong. This is Dea Irby with Here Where You Belong podcast signing off. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to Hear Where You Belong. We hope today's episode has inspired you to embrace the beauty of belonging in your own life. Remember, no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. Join us again next time for more insightful conversations and heartwarming stories. Until then, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember that you belong.